Hello, my friends. How are you doing today? So, I am deep in the middle of planning my next book. Yes, I'm putting it out there from an accountability standpoint. I will hopefully have something to tell you more about later this spring. My first book was very personal, and it was a triumph to be able to create such a personal book in the middle of the pandemic. I've been saying I'm not one to let a good pandemic go to waste. I use that time to be able to challenge myself to create the book. But Armored was a very personal experience. And so, what I'm doing right now is really pouring myself into creating that business development book, which is what I've spent almost 30 years of my career doing. In fact, all of my career, I don't know why I said almost, all of my 30-year career has been in a business development capacity, specifically doing technical business to business kind of business development. And very fortunately, I came across this book. I looked and it's now been produced 10 years ago in 2013. The book, To Sell Is Human, came out by Dan Pink. And for those of us who work in the technical business development industry, it is that great describer of what technical people really struggle with the most in terms of the stigma of sales. And what Dan does so well is he talks about what the components of a great connector relationship builder. That's what I've found in terms of working with doer sellers is they don't like the term doer seller. They don't like the term business development, or and especially not sales. So call it what you want to call it. I call it fun time with friends when I'm doing training specifically around business development. But he basically says if you can influence a decision in your favor, then that's sales. So what I do when I'm talking to my trainings is, as I describe it, I always try to route people to this book, but I really encourage people to try to take the stigma off of the word sales. If you found someone and you convinced them to marry you, that's sales. If you convinced your child to eat his peas for dinner last night, that's sales. It's just influencing a decision in your favor. Going a step further, it's really about leveraging the relationship that you have and going deep in those relationships. And Dan really describes that in a great way. It's been one of those books, like I said, that I refer lots of people to, informally, especially during my trainings. So I'm happy to make this great recommendation. If you haven't read this book, it's definitely one of the ones that should consider reading, especially if you are charged with influencing on behalf of your organization. Contact me if you have any questions. Stay tuned for later this spring. I'm hoping to have some big announcements, but you take good care and I'll see you soon.